Hi everyone, and hi everyone. Welcome to our first Facebook Live. We're featuring Compact Crossover Week this week. My name is Jim O'Brill. I am the marketing director for the Chicago Auto Show and also co-host of Drive Chicago, which airs weekly on WLS AM 890. Joining me today is Kurt McAllister. He's the public relations manager for Toyota. To kick off our week this week, and we're going to highlight the Toyota RAV4, which is a vehicle that I'm guessing almost everyone tuning in here knows about. If you don't, I don't know what rock they've been living under, because the RAV4 has been around since 1995, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, but one of the first and longest running compact crossovers on the market. So thank you for joining us, Kurt. Jump in and give us a little overview of what makes the RAV4 the best-selling vehicle in North America right now.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. The RAV4 has been the best-selling seller for us for the past 3 years, actually surpassing Camry, believe it or not. And actually, RAV4 has been the best-selling SUV in the United States for the past 4 years. Now, I think the RAV4's attraction points vary from consumer to consumer. So their size, it's just a little bit larger than the large sedan. Its utility, which is large enough to haul a variety of things, especially when you have the fold-down second row. Styling, which became much more dynamic about 3 years ago, much more aggressive, a lot of sharp lines that people like. And of course, the mileage factor. You can get 35 miles per gallon on the front-wheel drive gas version. You can get 40 miles per gallon combined for the hybrid, and about 42 plus for the Prius Prime plug-in hybrid, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But again, I think people are still attracted to that trifecta for Toyota, which is safety, reliability, and dependability.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure of spending some time in the RAV4 TRD Off-Road version not too long ago here in Chicago. Kurt, you know this, not everyone knows this, but I'm a Toyota owner, so you can say I'm a little bit of a fan here. I've got a 4Runner that I've had for many years. So I always look forward to getting into new products and seeing what you guys have done to spice things up. Right. You mentioned the styling, how it changed a couple years ago with the overhaul of the RAV4. Talk to us a little bit about that direction that you took with it, because as you alluded to, it is definitely a change from what the RAV4 is or was.
Right.
I personally am a fan. I like the off-road, like more rugged look of it. Of course, I drove the TRD off-road model, which added even more, which we'll get into. But tell us a little bit about that leap of faith that you guys did when you kind of switched gears in the styling of the RAV4.
Sure. Yeah. So like anybody, we clinic the vehicle. And even though RAV4 was selling very well, people said you just need to kind of make it look a little bit more masculine, a little bit more athletic. So that's when our design team got to work, and again, made it a little thicker through the haunches, and it gave those sharp lines through the sides, through the taillight features, through the grille. So again, if we're claiming this vehicle is off-road capable, we should make it look a little bit more like it is off-road capable. So it really has resonated with our consumers.
And talking about, the different versions of the RAV4, talk to us about what the lineup is for the RAV4, because you guys have probably one of the most diverse compact crossovers, like variety out there. And in my review, I think that's one of the things that makes it such a top seller, because there is truly a RAV4 for nearly everyone. So give us a little overview of what those various offerings are in the RAV4 lineup.
Yeah, sure. So the fifth generation RAV4 comes in a variety of trim levels and variants, which is capable of urban and suburban outdoor environments. In fact, there are about a total of 17 different configurations of RAV4 when you consider we have 4 front-wheel drive offerings for the gas version, another 11 all-wheel drive offerings for gas and hybrids, and then 2 for our plug-in hybrid, the RAV4 Prime. And our hybrids have about 5 different trim levels, and again, they're all-wheel drive. So across the board, our gas and our hybrid vehicles include the LE, the XLE, the XLE Premium, a Limited, and we also have our own sports tuned flagship, which is the XSE, which just came out a couple of years ago for our hybrid lineup. And then we have 2 off-road capable or off-pavement vehicles in our adventure grade, and then our TRD off-road. All said and done, with so much variety, the RAV4 from the front-wheel drive LE, which starts about $26,000, could go all the way up to about $38,000 and change when you get a fully loaded RAV4 Prime.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite the diverse lineup. And, just spending time in it and talking to people about it when I had it, they're like, oh, I have a RAV4, and various such different configurations, and you guys have some really neat color palettes available now.
Mhm.
A lot to offer. I mean, it's easy to spend some time at Toyota, at the website at toyota.com, and kind of build your RAV4 to see what suits your lifestyle. Um,
Absolutely.
Being in Chicago, we don't have as many off-road trails to really put the off-roading fun to test, but there are some
Mhm.
things to do that. But if you're in the city and you're looking for something that's more eco-friendly and fuel efficient, what's
Right.
kind of your take on the RAV4? Which one should they lean towards?
Really, any of our hybrid offerings would be great, Jim. They all earned at least in excess of 40 miles per gallon. Now, the RAV4 Prime, our plug-in we've talked about, while we say it gets 42 EPA estimated miles per gallon, it also gets what we call 94 mpge. And that's because this vehicle can drive 42 miles purely on battery alone and a single charge at highway speeds. So, it makes it the highest EV range of any plug-in SUV on the market. And so for us, that would make great sense if you get your hands on a Prime.
So the one I drove, and I mentioned this, was the TRD OffRoad. So
Right.
I enjoy that. It's kind of one of the things, and overlanding has become a really huge thing in the
Yes.
community now. We see that continuing to grow in trends and popularity, and we're now seeing manufacturers offer vehicles that kind of tie into that lifestyle. Talk to
Mhm.
us a little bit about the TRD OffRoad and what features on that vehicle kind of stand out if you're looking for that lifestyle. I mean, you kind of mentioned it's not necessarily off-road like you're going to take a Forerunner where you're going to climb rocks and
Right.
stuff. You can
Right.
take it on pavement, which I think is a great way to use it. It's good for some of those light trails and
Right.
camping and overlanding. So talk to us a little bit about that model and what that offers to consumers.
You're exactly right, Jim. Think more about deer trails as opposed to Moab, Utah. So, but yeah, really, actually, this year the TRD we just added a new stainless steel skid plate as well because we have about 8.5 to 9 inches of ground clearance. Now, where the TRD off road goes above and beyond is with our suspension, our wheels, and our tires. We're all engineered specifically for rugged trail riding. We have dynamic torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. It's standard and it's supported by a full complement of off-road handling capabilities to make our more adventure equipment along. If you want to bring along some watercraft or dirt bikes or an enclosed trailer, or even in the wintertime, you want to bring along snowmobiles. The TRD off-road is actually capable of hauling 3,500 pounds. So again, you can bring your toys along for your journey, for your adventure. And of course, the TRD off-road suspension is engineered to enhance body control and small bump isolation to help smooth out those rough trails and those, as long as those city streets.
And one a new color that's out this year that we saw at the auto show last year, I think was the first time I remember seeing, is that lunar rock color. Uh,
Right.
which really is pretty sharp in person. And I really liked it. I've seen it now in person on the Tundra and
Yep.
also the RAV4. So
Yep.
I like that color offering, and you guys offer both white and black roofs. So there's really a
Right.
lot to customize this to your lifestyle. And I had the RAV4 during some of the major snowstorms we had here in
Mhm.
Chicago. And you can talk a little bit about the various driving modes that the RAV4
Mhm.
offers, but I spent a good chunk of it in that snow mode. And those all-terrain tires on the TRD version really
Right.
came in handy, and I had zero issues. As you mentioned, it's got a little bit more ground clearance and
Mhm.
just handled the snow and Chicago weather beautifully.
Yes. Yeah. It's yeah. Like I said, it's really a vehicle for all seasons.
Switching gears, from the off-road tracks over to the Prime, which is
Mhm.
the newest version of the RAV4 this year. Um, I've heard this, and I'm hoping you can confirm this, that the RAV4 Prime is quicker than the new Supra. Is there any validity to that statement? I mean, I
No,
know I think I read somewhere in like 5.6 seconds, 0 to 60, which was impressive as is for a compact crossover, but faster than a Supra. That one caught me. So talk to me a little bit about that one.
yeah, not quite.
Okay.
So yeah, the GR Super can actually do 0 to 60 in about 4 flat.
Okay.
But RAV4, as you mentioned, it's right around that 5.6 to 5.7 second mark for 0 to 60. Again, with the Prime, with two motors in it, in the hybrid, we actually could achieve 302 horsepower, which makes this the quickest four-door model in our entire Toyota lineup. And so, what's amazing, Jim, is that to think about hybrid technology is now part of a performance story, where just maybe about a decade ago, people used to use terms like hybrid lag. From the time the hybrid would kick into the internal combustion engine. Now it's so seamless, it's become part of that launch in your seat feeling that people really want when it comes to that torque. So yeah, we're proud of that Prime can actually get it right off the line.
It's amazing that you mentioned that, because really years ago, like if you mentioned you drove a hybrid, like you weren't a car guy, you weren't into
Yeah.
like performance or anything. But now that we're adding hybrid and EVs to the model lineups, we're seeing, to your point, faster performance, better
Right.
performance, and in some cases, like the RAV4, that's the fastest vehicle in the lineup, and
Right.
it's also the most fuel efficient, which is really cool.
Yeah.
You know, as we talk about the Prime, can you give us a little glimpse as to what that means to the brand? I know you guys have really shifted focus. You were one of the first with the Prius back in the day.
Mhm.
Earlier, or not earlier this year, but last year in 2020, you launched both the Venza and Sienna exclusively as hybrid vehicles. Are we going to continue to see, if you can talk about it, this kind of
Sure.
trend in hybrid and electric vehicles coming from Toyota?
Yeah. So, I mean, we haven't made there's no secret that by 2025, we intend to have a hybrid variant for all of our vehicles on both the Toyota and the Lexus lineups. So, we see hybridization as part of our future. I know, the one thing about our company is that we have a fuel cell in Mirai. We have some EVs coming down the road. We've got very efficient internal combustion engines. We don't see that there's one trick pony for the entire populace. People want variety. People want choices. So we think that hybrids and the fact that we've been an expert in hybrid technology for 20 years speaks well to our future. And again, you kind of mentioned Prime. We see Prime as kind of that magical combination between eco-friendliness and again that throw your head back type of quickness all in one package. With its fuel efficiency, the vehicle was really engineered with a performance driver in mind. So aside from that, it's a great SUV with a great athletic stance, rigid suspension, those soft touches in the right place, and again, the latest of multimedia technology and safety systems.
So talk to us a little bit about that technology that we can find in the RAV4, specifically the Prime or the RAV4 lineup in general, that makes it stand out from the competition.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's a myriad of things. The technology is so vast today in vehicles, but with RAV, we have a JBL audio system with a 9-inch touchscreen. Now we have an Amazon Alexa integration with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay capability. We have a 3 kilowatt onboard charger. In terms of safety tech, we have blind spot monitors and rear cross traffic alert, which are great for like grocery store parking lots, right? We've got digital rear mirrors. We've got a panoramic moonroof, bird's eye view camera, which again gives you that 360 look around a vehicle for safety measures, especially for areas that may be dark or a little suspect. We've got parking assist. Heads up display has been around, but that's also a big part of RAV4. Once upon a time, HUD was only available on the upper echelon vehicles. Now it's available on vehicles like RAV. And part of that safety message too is we have Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, which was launched just last year. And again, that's got pre-collision pedestrian detection. It's got lane departure alert, steering assist, automatic high beams, dynamic radar cruise control. And again, this is available in all RAVs, all those variants I talked about earlier. And again, we still have the Toyota Safety Sense, which again is vehicle stability control, electronic brake distribution, brake assist, and anti-lock braking system. So, not only are there those sweet functions, with stereo systems and multimedia, but we make sure that we have the safest vehicle in the market as well.
Speaking of Toyota Safety Sense, that's standard on all RAV4s, correct?
It is, yes, yep. From the RAV4 LE all the way up to the most loaded Prime. It is. We want to make sure that all of our consumers have access to the same suite of safety technology.
So I want to get to a couple of questions that are coming in via Facebook Live. We've got one question asking about the Nightshade models, which I know came out not too long ago. Are those still available? And is that something that's available on the RAV4?
Yes. So if you go to your dealership or go to toyota.com, you can pull down more information about that and see what's available.
And I think we talked about this earlier, but talking about the price tag on the RAV4, talk a little bit about the price range and I guess more specifically, like what those price breaks are. Like if we're looking for a front wheel drive versus an all wheel drive model versus the hybrid, like some of those key touch points for pricing.
Yeah. So again, we talked about the starting point of 26,000 with a kind of a base front wheel drive LE model. And again, with 17 different variations, it's literally every $2,000 is a different trim level. And again, it's everything from the mats to to door sills to puddle lamps to just even stitching and badging. It's amazing what kind of things we've overlapped with each other. But again, by the time you get to the limited stage on any of those vehicles, you're going to have something that's fully loaded with everything you could possibly or conceivably want.
Yeah, for those tuning in, we're talking about the Toyota RAV4 here with Kurt McAllister, Public Relations Manager of Toyota. I spent some time driving this car, and truly, to your point, Kurt, there's so many variations of this car, and I've mentioned this. That's what stands out to me as one of the RAV4's like best-selling features is that you can spend time finding one in your price range, finding one that meets your style. And that has a lot of great safety and tech just built into the base level.
Right.
And that's not something everyone's doing, but Toyota has kind of stayed true to that Toyota safety sense that you guys are offering. And then you've got the resale and the reliability that comes with Toyota.
Right.
Even looking at used RAV4s out there, they still hold their value.
Yeah.
When I wrote my review, I was doing a little bit of digging for Drive Chicago, and I found a few of them, listed on our drivechicago.com website with over 200,000 miles that are still selling for decent chunks of change. And I can attest to that personally, driving an 07 4Runner that's still just running strong and not a whole lot of issues with that car.
I mean, at 200,000 miles, it's just barely broken in.
Right.
So that's the way we see it.
All the time with Toyotas. So, Kurt, anything else that you want to highlight that are standout features for the RAV4 that anyone that's shopping in this segment, which I think has become such a crucial segment in car shopping now. When I was growing up, we were buying compact sedans, focus more on like a Cavalier or a Corolla and things like that. And now, like those cars are either non-existent. I mean, obviously the Corolla's around, but more and more people are gravitating towards these compact crossovers. So.
Right.
Anything else you would add about the RAV4 that you think people should know about?
And I think you touched on it earlier too, Jim. It's like, back a few years ago, you couldn't get these kind of creature comforts, this kind of technology until you moved upstream a little bit, until you got into a Highlander, but now with most car companies, you can get a fully loaded small ute like a RAV4 and have all the same amenities that you would get on a loaded, again, Highlander or Sequoia. And so, for us, it hits a sweet spot for a lot of folks because it's at that price point, you get so much vehicle for that money.
There really is. And it's such a great entry level vehicle with everything that it offers. I do want to come back to, because I don't know that we touched on this, and I think it's an important thing when we talk about hybrids and electric vehicles, going back to the RAV4 Prime. Can you discuss a little bit about the range on the plug-in variant of that vehicle?
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit. So in pure electric, you can get 42 miles. Okay. And so that, and again, that's at highway speeds too. That's just not, puttering along. It's actually going at real world time. So, and again, after that's depleted, you default into one of the best hybrid systems in the world. So that's why we kind of use that 94 mpge statistic, because you're going to get if you drive the vehicle the way it was built, you're going to get well in excess of 50 or 60 miles per gallon with that vehicle. So again, it takes a couple hours to recharge, like most plugins. But sure. The people that buy it, I mean, they're sold on the plug-in technology.
And that's something, as we see, gas prices go up and down all the time. I mean, right. You're going to save right there and spend a lot less trips to the gas station in that car.
Yeah, it's hopefully we'll never get back to the $4 a gallon mark like we saw a decade ago, but that seems to be the watermark for a lot of people. Once once gas gets creeps up near $4, all of a sudden people are turning in their Suburbans for Priuses, you know.
But
But again, I think now, but I mean, as you mentioned, hybrids have come so far now that people are looking at hybrids first, not as that second vehicle, or this is going to be my vehicle for long trips because I want to save gas. Now people are looking at it as their daily commuters because they see the value in them.
yeah, and they look just like every other car on the road. They're no longer
Right,
just something that looks a little bit different. And in your
right,
case, you've got the Venza and Sienna that are exclusively hybrids. So
right.
you can't avoid hybrids. And I like that direction of where we're going.
Mhm.
If anyone has questions, feel free to post them in the comments. If we don't get to them during our live call, we'll do our best to address any questions you have. The video will live on, and we'll follow up with any other questions. So if you do, feel free to ask those questions now in the chat. Kurt, anything else on the horizon that we should get excited about with Toyota that you can share?
Well, we've got some exciting new products coming later this year. You can't divulge them right now, but you know, if you're an avid reader of the industry, you probably know that we've got something larger coming down the road that is long overdue, and I think people, especially in the Chicago market, will be really excited about it.
Well, we look forward to following that story and kind of see what comes out of at Toyota.
Thank you.
So Kurt, thank you so much for joining me today. We really appreciate this. We're navigating our digital world here and finding new ways to communicate. And this was great. Really appreciate talking with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And again, at Toyota, we're a big advocate and a big fan of the Chicago Auto Show. So thank you so much for the time today.
Yep, thank you, and more news to come on that as well. We know we're hopeful to share updates in our crazy world right now.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Take care.
Thank you.